This year, Halloween falls on a weekend. So instead of my mind playing tricks on me, I figured it would be time to revisit the Halloween franchise and rank it up. The last time I did this was back in the early days of Dead Last, and I only had 20 rankings, and that included my panel. So only 15 patrons sent in rankings, and also 2 additional movies have been released. So it seemed time to find out what people thought of those as well. And then I also asked all of YouTube to send in their rankings. So we're going to look at this 2 ways. First up, the official regular ranking, which was decided by my patrons. And right after that, we'll get to the larger scale rankings. And these were the movies that we were looking at. And it's no surprise, it's the 13 Halloween films. The original 6, the 2 H2O universe films, the 2 Rob Zombie universe films, and the 3 DGGs. And Halloween Kills and Ends are the new ones to the rankings since they weren't out the last time we did this. And my patrons had to decide which of these were the best. And we had a record turnout this time around with 59 entries, which makes the best possible score 59 points. And the worst score, if the same movie was unanimously voted dead last, would be 767. So let's get going with the first half of this reevaluation of The Night He Came Home.
Michael. You've come home.
Okay, coming in at dead last, this was somewhat of a surprise. I wasn't sure if one of the new entries would take it or what, but back in our first time around, this spot was filled by Halloween Resurrection. And this time around, with 640 points, we have a new bottom with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Previously, this was close to dead last since it was in 10th place out of 11 films, but I guess opinion of it has dropped and it was put into dead last 17 times. 29% of the times. So nearly 1 out of 3 people put it there. And the highest score that it got was 3rd place, which it got twice. And I had this in my dead last, and that's where I had it last time too. And my list is actually remarkably the same as my first one. And what can I say? I hate this movie. It's like Rob only knows how to write one type of character, and that character is someone who just screams at everyone around them. And I think this is just how Rob thinks that people talk to each other. And I think I've said this in another video, but if your friends talk to you like this, they're not your friends. But the thing that I often see people say about this one is that they respect it because it does something different. And it's definitely different since it doesn't really follow the formula of any of the other Halloween films. And for a large portion, it doesn't even necessarily seem like Michael Myers or Laurie Strode. And I can understand that point. However, that doesn't work for me. For me, that feels like I regularly go to this restaurant and they just bring the food out to me. Like I don't pick it. And most of the time, they serve me variations of the same thing. Sometimes it's a hamburger. Sometimes it's a bacon burger. Sometimes it's a breakfast burger, so it has an egg on it. Sometimes the quality of the meat isn't as good and the bun's a little stale. But then, one day, they just bring me out a piece of roadkill served between 2 pieces of rubber. I'm not going to be like, well, I mean, this is better than that lower quality burger because it's different. No, it's gross. And so is this movie. But now I do want a burger.
How do you even respond to that criticism?
Well, I think that's completely unfounded. I always get permission when I do the parody.
No, Al, I was talking to opinions.
Let's go to our number 12 movie now, a position that didn't exist when we did this list the first time. And this time, with 600 points, a 40-point drop, this is where we'll find Halloween Resurrection. And with a 40-point difference, it wasn't in much of a danger of ending up there this time. This was a clear final spot. But this was in that spot last time and still managed to get 12 dead lasts, although that's only 20% of the time, so 1 in 5 people put it there. And it did have more appreciation this time around. The last time we did this, the highest score it got was 7th place, but this time it had some higher than that, including one second place vote. And just like last time, I put this in 8th place. And I'm going to state this right now. This movie's terrible. It's so stupid, and I fully understand why you'd have it in dead last, especially with the asinine intro killing off Laurie. But here's the thing. The general dumbness of this one makes it kind of entertaining. And for one main reason. Busta mother-loving rhymes. Like, sure, H2O had LL Cool J as the wacky rapper comic relief character, but Busta leans into it way more and just like, hey, what's this right here? Oh, is this the top? Well, I'm just gonna go over this thing here.
Ah, damn it! What the hell is wrong with you? I said, what you looking at me like that for? Huh? You don't get it? You don't get it?
And I know that this isn't for everyone, but I can sit through some blah stuff if I get to see Michael Myers get karate kicked while his opponent says,
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
But besides that, I also do kind of like the little found footage aspects here and there and the webcam thing they have going on. Like, they don't do it well, but it's a decent attempt. But yeah, I'd rather see something dumb and entertaining than one of the other entries actually trying to be serious and scary and thought-provoking and falling flat on their faces. And this one fits that bill, so I'm glad it made it out of that dead last spot. Here's our number 11 film, and this is a position that was dead last the first time around. And like I said, this is where Resurrection was, but this time, with 542 points, we're looking at one of the new entries, Halloween Ends. This one was a bit all over the place with the rankings, but it did get 10 dead lasts, around 17% of them, so 1 out of every 6 people. And just like Zombies Halloween 2, the best score that it got was 2 second place nods. And I have Ends in 11th place, right where it landed, and refer back to what I said about doing something different. I'll confess, though, that this is the kind of different that's not that unbearable, but here's my big beef with this film. But then becomes my beef with this whole, trilogy. This film doesn't pick up where Kills left off at all, and essentially just ignores that whole movie and makes it pointless. But here's a spoiler, I have this ranked higher than I have Kills, and I have a reason why. If Kills doesn't exist, this movie works better. Without Kills, Laurie thinks Michael's dead, so of course she'd just be chilling in a house with no fence and security system and not be on the watch for him anymore. Without Kills, the last we saw of Michael was burning in a basement, so of course he'd be all trashed out in a sewer and able to be beat up by some rando. Like, if you were just some person that had never heard of this series before and you were going to watch it, and I told you to skip Kills and just watch the original 2018 and then Ends, it works as a complete trilogy. But if you delete Ends, then you're left with a cliffhanger and a number of plot points up in the air. So I had to give this one a bit of an edge. That being said, none of this is what I want to see from this series. I also gave it some slight extra points for that unintentionally hysterical death of the kid in the intro.
What was that?
Now it's time for our number 10 film. And like I mentioned, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was here before, but now dropped a couple of places, and with 541 points, only a 1-point drop from Ends. So this was close. This is now still occupied by Rob Zombie, but for his 2007 remake film. This one was previously in 9th place out of 11, so it sort of fell a bit, and it was ranked dead last 10 times for 17% as well, the same as Ends. However, this is our first film to get a number 1 vote, and in fact, it got 2 of them, so it had some appreciation as well. And I have this one in 9th place. And man, I don't like this either. Not at all. But it has some good things going for it, although I'll admit all of them take place in the finale of this film. I do like the portrayal of Loomis as a slicker, more fame-obsessed guy as opposed to a loony-obsessed dude, but that's just like one positive. But my complaint here is the one that a lot of people have. I don't want to know why Michael is evil. Like, the character works better when it's just inborn. Like, he can't help it and he was just born that way. And then, if you're gonna give him a backstory to justify his violence, why does it have to be the same old broken home and abuse and bullying backstory that we've seen dozens of times before in other movies? I mean, starting out killing animals and being ridiculed by the other kids at school was a tired trope when they put it into Freddy's backstory and Freddy's Dead. And that was like 2 decades before this. But then, also, what's the point of giving me something different in the beginning if it's just gonna lead to nearly the exact same events later on? If things were then altered in the back half of the film, I would maybe feel like making all those changes were justified. But when the ending heads to the same place, it's only gonna make me think of how the other one got there and how much superior that it was.
Behind these eyes, one finds only blackness.
Going into the single-digit films, our number 9 entry was still pretty close since it had 538 points, only a 3-point difference. So keep in mind, our number 9, 10, and 11 films were a matter of 4 points. And here we have Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. The first time around, this was in 7th place, so it dropped in favor as well, and it was given dead last 4 times, which is only 7% of them, and the best score that it received was a single 2nd place spot. So I put this one all the way up in 5th place, and there's 2 cuts to the film, the theatrical cut and the producer's cut. And I left it up to you guys to decide which of them you wanted to rate. And I'll be honest, I've seen them both, and they both have things that make them better than the other one. And I really think that the best cut would be somewhere in the middle of them, but after parts 4 and 5, which sort of just felt like the same old stuff and repeating themselves, I feel like this one did give me something different, but here's the key as compared to the things I mentioned earlier. It still felt like a Halloween film. Was it goofy? Sure, but I'll say this, in terms of giving Michael some sort of reason for murdering people, I'd actually rather roll with druids and prophecies than run-of-the-mill, my stepdad was a meanie pants. And maybe, just maybe, I just can't help but not enjoy something with Paul Rudd in it. Or, excuse me, Paul Stephen Rudd. And yeah, that's what I'm going with. Part 6 is my number 5 choice because where else am I going to get Paul Rudd shooting up Michael Myers with reagent? Nowhere. That's where. Here's our number 8 entry, and this was a decent drop down since we go to 502 points, a 36-point fall, and it's time for our other new to the list entry, Halloween Kills. Again, this one wasn't on the roster last time, and I'll admit that it placed higher than I thought it would. It did have one dead last vote, but only one, and the best score it got was, again, a single 2nd place one. And I'm sorry, but this was my number 12 pick. Might be controversial. I know that some people are into this one, but holy crap, does it annoy me. It's just bad choice after bad choice. Stupid character after stupid character. And it would have been one thing if it was silly, but it takes itself so damn serious. It really thinks that it has something to say about mob mentalities and the nature of violence, and any aspect of fun is just washed away. And again, characters here are just so goddamn moronic. Like whether it's characters who live in Michael Myers' house not realizing that he'll likely show back up there, and they just stay there only to get surprised when he does show up and kill them, or the cops that don't bother to stake out Michael's house even though that's exactly where he went the first time he was loose, or the characters with a gun who just can't figure out how to point it and shoot it at Michael, to the mob that just stands there and lets Michael get up and kills them all one by one. Or how about a whole group of people that think a short, chubby guy is Michael Myers and just chase him because mob mentality bad or something? Or how about the fact that the 2018 movie was almost entirely about how Laurie was crazy because Michael was only loose one night 40 years ago, and most people have forgotten about him, and she's just nuts. And then in this movie, there's bars full of people who are talking about him and celebrating the fact that he's still put away. And again, refer back to what I said about ends and how the whole concept works better without this movie. And the point is, this movie does nothing. It's 2 hours of stalling. In the beginning, Laurie sees the fireman going to the house and knows Michael will get loose, but then we have to have her at the hospital, out of action for the runtime, because if she's in play, then the plot can progress. Can't have that. They then do the whole mistaken identity subplot, just because if the townspeople really did all organize and go hunt Michael, they'd find him pretty easily and then take him out. And at the end of the movie, we're at the exact same spot as we are in the beginning, and nothing has changed, and no character has had any sort of arc to change or grow or whatever. So I guess if you're just one of those, I want to see Michael kill people in gnarly ways, then this is for you. But I just want things like plots and writing and character. And this one has none of that. And if it weren't for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 existing, this would have been my easy dead last.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight!
Here we are with our dead center film, number 7. There's 6 films above this and 6 below it, so this is the mean average of the results here. And it was a modest drop down to 487, a 15-point decline. And now we have Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Last time around, this one was in 8th place, so it's gone up in favor a bit since then, but it was put in dead last twice. And the best score it received was 4th place, which it took twice. So this is the one of the early run that I just don't care much for, so I have it in 10th, and yes, I surprised myself that I have this lower than Rob Zombie's Halloween. But the main reason I have this one so low is just how dull it is. It's just this complete retread of part 4 again, and doesn't offer anything new or interesting, which is frustrating because they set up something interesting in part 4, since you had Jamie possibly taking on Michael's evil at the ending of it, and the concept of that would have been interesting. And there was an early version of the script where that was a thing. But I guess that was denied because they were insistent on Michael being the only villain of the film. There was even a drastic change of pace with another version in which Michael was resurrected but cured of his evil, but the town was after him anyway. And again, I'm not sure if either of those concepts would have worked, but they sure as hell would have been better options than just do part 4 again. Exactly part 4. Except this time, get rid of the interesting final girl and replace her with Tina of all people. Really? Tina? And you know, the only reason I don't have this lower is for 2 reasons. And one is a thing that most people took points off for. But I bust out laughing every time that clown music comes on with those cops. And it's so ridiculous that I wish that there were more of it in the film to make it not so dull and samey.
All clear. Nothing above, nothing below.
And then, of course, it deserves to be slightly higher just for Cookie Woman.
Cookie Woman.
Cookie Woman. Cookie Woman.
We're on the top half of the list now, and our number 6 movie was a massive drop. And we went down a full 128 points. So this is apparently the line of quality. And with 359 points, now we have Halloween Water, or H20. Stop calling it H2O, because that's a 0. It's not an O. This is the first film on the roster to not get voted dead last, but it did get put in 11th place once, and one person put it in 1st place. And this is staying right where it was, since it was in 6th place the last time around as well. And I have this one kind of close to where it landed, since I have it in 7th place. And here's the thing. When this movie came out, I liked it. I don't think I was bowled over by it, but I probably would have had it close to my top 3 or so. But over time, I just don't think it aged well. It feels like such a product of its time, and the whole influence of Scream is stamped all over this film. It's not as meta or self-parodying as that one was, but it feels like maybe it's trying to be, and just not working at all. But then it comes down to that whole continuity shift. And I'm fine with that. I'm not really married to any film continuity as long as they do something interesting with the change. But here, with the exception of Laurie not being dead and Jamie not existing, they don't even do anything with it. You have this clean slate to be free of what the 3rd through 6th movie did, and then you don't take advantage of it? And there's not even any explanation on how Michael and Loomis survived the ending of part 2 here. They just did, I suppose. And let's not even get started on that mask debacle. But yeah, I don't really like this one, but I don't dislike it either. It's completely fine. It just doesn't feel like a Halloween film in the end, but it's okay, which is why I have it right in the middle.
Oh! Damn it! Oh, Miss Tate, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you jump.
It's okay.
Well, hey, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
It's time for our number 5 movie, and it's still a big jump in points, but not as big of a one, since now we're at 319, a drop of 40 points. And we don't have many left now, but now it's time to talk about Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This is a bit of a stumble for this film since it took the 4th place spot last time, so it's lost a bit of its luster. And this also didn't get put in dead last at all, but one person had it in 12th. And like 20 years later, this was put into 1st place once. And I had this in 4th place, and here's what's funny about this one. I don't much like it. Overall, it gets the job done, and I think it deserves to be this high up on the list, and my list as well. But it's not a movie I enjoy rewatching frequently. But in terms of this series, it's doing all the right stuff. First up, it's doing some of the same stuff while also changing it up a bit. Of course, they had to explain how Michael survived all those years ago, and they sort of do and sort of don't. And for some reason, after 10 years, I guess Michael still has to wear, like, burn bandages. Like, those burns have healed around a decade or so. You don't need the gauze unless that's just a new fashion trend or something. I don't know, it was late 80s. And the idea of Michael stalking his young niece is a nice change up from before. And again, enough of the same to feel familiar and comfortable, but not so similar that it's just a retread. But the other thing that makes this one an improvement is the straight up vibes. Like, this movie just feels like Halloween and autumn. And if you want something that has that Halloween atmosphere, you get it here in spades. Getting close to the top now, and now we're coming down another modest amount with 20 points. And this one hit 299, and our highest ranking newer entry with Halloween 2018, or H40, or H40 if you want to be wrong about it. In the earlier ranking, this was in 5th place, so it's another one that's grown in popularity since then, rising 1 place. It did, however, get 1 dead last vote, but it also got 1 first place vote. And I have this one a bit lower, and I have it in 6th place. And there's a good amount of this that I do like, but in the end, I've always been mostly unimpressed with it. I get why they wanted to reboot the continuity, and I get why they only went with the first film, but I'm not sure that they were clear with where they wanted to go with it. Like, the whole thing about erasing his connection with Laurie is fine, but then why is Laurie even there? Like, they end up having to jump through so many damn hoops to force them to go up against each other, and everything about that just feels contrived. There's stuff about it that I really, really like the whole unbroken shot of Michael just parading around killing people. But, I mean, for as cool as that sequence is, I'm not sure what the point of it was. If we're only taking the first film into account, Michael was never just a random killer, walking around aimlessly and doling out death. He killed his sister. He fixated on Laurie and stalked her solely because she reminded him of his sister. So the original film had this vague rationale for him doing what he was doing. And the second film had to go further to fully define that. But here, I mean, I guess he's just a killer. I guess they wanted to make him some sort of hyper predator, But again, like Predator has prey and stalk their prey. But this is just a Michael who's not a predator. He's just a killer, a senseless killer. And the idea of a guy who just walks around and murders whatever is in his path is just, I mean, I guess it's fine, but it's not as interesting as the character they introduced in the first movie. And that's a lot of negative, but again, I don't actively dislike this movie because I think it's fine. But just like I said about Part 4, I'm not champing at the bit to rewatch it if I don't have to. Okay, here we go. Top 3 time, and there's only the OG 3 left. So let's see if this shakes out the way that it did last time. To recap, last time the original film was first, the second film was second, the third film was third, and the fourth film was fourth. And we've already broken that trend. So let's see if it continues as we go to number 3. And with 232 points, a 67-point drop, we did break that trend as we have Halloween 2 from 1981. This did get a single dead last vote, and it's actually the first film on the list with more than 2 number 1 votes, as it got 3. And this one is where I had it last time, and this time, in third place. And it's funny because I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm not that big of a fan of the Halloween franchise. It has a couple of great movies and a bunch of okay ones, and this is an okay one. And I have it in third, an okay movie in third. But the biggest thing that this one has going for it in my eyes is that it feels like a direct continuation of the first movie, to the point that if you watch the two of them back to back, it feels mostly like you're watching one long movie. Sure, the second half is not as well done as the first, but it's doing a good job with capturing that same tone and feel. And it's probably because Carpenter was more involved in the writing of this one, but I feel like it's a package deal. Plus, there's the addition of those oddball moments where it's just clear that there's more to this Halloween than just one guy out killing people, and the townsfolk of Haddonfield are still all riled up and putting razor blades in apples and stuff. Plus, you have the ramping up of Loomis as an unhinged individual in a way that none of the other sequels really nail, since they either tone him down too much or have him be wildly insane, but shouting 6 times over and over and then inadvertently causing the death of an innocent teenager is the perfect place for him to be. And you know, I saw online some people trying to justify the whole Ben Tramer thing and saying, well, it was Ben's fault because he ran from the cops. And I don't know how to respond to that. Like, if you actually think that, I'm kind of lost with this whole thing. But yeah, third place is where I put it, and third place is where it landed, so I'm content with that.
You don't know what death is.
Well, it's time for our number 2 film, and I think we all know, or should know, what number 1 is, so that just leaves our second place film with 221 points, a drop of 11 to be Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Last time, this was in third place, so it's getting more love now, and one person did have it in dead last, but 9 people put it in first place for a whole 15% of the rankings. And I had this one in second place myself, and I couldn't be more proud that it made it up from third to second. I know for decades now people have bitched and moaned that this one sucks because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, but considering the majority of the later ones with Michael Myers in them weren't all that great, I'm not sure that counts as a detriment. I truly wish that the plan to have the Halloween series be an anthology would have come into being and we just had like 13 different stories all just taking place on Halloween, and maybe with smaller character links or whatever to establish that it is one universe. But Michael's death in the second film was wonderful and a great end to the character, so this feels like a good way to take things. Besides, it's just a fun story, and Tom Atkins is in it, which is points in his favor right away. Also, Conal Cochran is such a good villain, and Dan O'Hurley plays it so well. He just seems so sinister. I love it.
And happy Halloween.
And come on, that song. That song is horror history right there. Everyone knows that stinking thing.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
That just leaves us with one movie, and I'm pretty sure we all knew it was number one, and I wish it were a sweep, or closer to one, damn it. But with a mere 89 points, only 89, is the original 1978 Halloween, in a series where 3 movies are just called Halloween. It was first place last time as well, as it should have been, and it did have one lower score, as someone put it in 8th, but it was put into first place 42 times. That's 71% of the time. Now, that's down from the 80% of the time from the first time around, but still an amazing score. And yes, of course, I have this in my number one spot, and I did last time as well. And here's the thing, I've smack-talked this franchise quite a bit here, but not this one. The 1978 Halloween is easily one of the best horror films ever made. It's just so finely crafted. The script is tight. The acting is great and feels natural. The atmosphere is spot on perfect. Everything about the movie is amazing. And not only is it the best film on this list, but I'd put it as the number one film on a whole bunch of them. It's just so stinking good. And here's how great John Carpenter is. I think this isn't even in his top 3 movies, and it's one of the best ones ever. So yeah, I think this one clearly stands the test of time and probably shouldn't have ever been more than 1, maybe 2 movies. But hey, maybe I'm partial because I actually live in Haddonfield and I see the locations of the film literally every single day. But it was my number one, your number one, and I'm glad it's there.
Hey, Lonnie. Get your ass away from there.
But we're not stopping there, because I also asked all of you guys to participate in this one, and wow, did you? I got 183 rankings in total, and that's the patrons and YouTube combined. So we can see if things are different if we increase the voting pool. And it kind of did, especially considering that the points increased so that the lowest possible score would be 183, whereas the worst possible score is now 2,379. So let's get started and see what's different.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Is Dead Last the same? Well, let me tell you, this was a much closer race here, and it went back and forth a few times, but our big loser today with 1,978 points. And let me tell you, that's an interesting number for it to land on, 1978. But do more of you guys agree with the patrons? And the answer is yes, because it's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 again, destined for dead last. In comparison with the patrons, it was in this spot 29% of the time there, and here it took that spot 54 times for 30% of the lists. So it actually fared a little worse when we added more votes. It did ever so slightly better on the top end though, since its high score was 1 second place vote instead of 3rd. In 12th place then, like I said, this was a closer race because this film ended up with 1,935 points, about 43 down from dead last. And when your points are this big, that's a tight race. But here's where we have Halloween Resurrection. So it remains in 12th place. However, it took dead last 46 times, which is 25% of the vote. So that's also a worse showing. But hey, one person had it in first place, so there's that, I guess, although I think that person may have been trolling based on some of their other ranks. Our 11th place film is a huge jump in numbers because we're going all the way down to 1,713 points now, over a 200-point drop. And in the other list, this was Halloween Ends, and here, yep, it's also Halloween Ends. So this is staying true to form. But it was put in dead last 26 times, and that's only 14% of the lists, which is a drop from the 17% we saw earlier. So it did a little bit better with a broader spectrum, and had 2 second place nods. Is this going to be the same the whole way down? I guess we'll find out with our number 10 movie. And this is coming in at 1,621 points, almost 100 points, and Look at that, it's our first switch up, since this number 10 is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, instead of Halloween 2007. Oddly, it was put in dead last 15 times, and that's only 8% compared to earlier's 7%, so the overall scores were just lower on average, but it did get a second place vote. Well, since Halloween 6 was number 9 up there, what is number 9 down here? Well, whatever it is, it got 1,599 points, only 22 points down, so this was close to being a match. But here we have the switch, since this is Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. And check this out, because it was in dead last 18 times, 10%, which is more dead lasts than Curse, but just had better overall scores, and in fact was put in first place 4 times. Going on to our number 8 movie now, and it's getting interesting now because this had 1,531 points, a drop of almost 70, and this spot was Halloween Kills for the patron, but here it's Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers. It got 6 dead last, so only 4 more than the smaller list, and was put up into second place 3 times. Part 5 was previously 7th place earlier, our dead center film, but it's different now. And with 1,511 points, a 20-point drop, and our smallest gap on the list, we have Halloween Kills. So those two just swapped places. It had 9 dead last votes here, more than Part 5, and also got 2 first place votes. Now it's the top half of the list, and at number 6, the patrons put H20. But here, with 1,084 points, a full 450 plus points down. Holy crap. Well, it's still Halloween Water. It's the same position. So this one is consistent in this spot, considering it was 6th place the first time we did this. The patrons ranked at 6, and all of YouTube did as well. And it was ranked in the dead last spot 4 times now, and still was ranked first 1 time, which is the same as the other ranking, so it picked up no additional number 1s on the bigger list. Number 5 had another decent drop since it went to 951 points, around 133. And in the patron list, this was taken by Halloween 4. But not here, because this is where we find Halloween 2018. And I should point out that that's where it landed back on the original list. It was in dead last 1 time, and again, that means that none of the YouTube vote was a dead last for it, and it was put into first place twice. So then that means we have a different number 4, and it had a smaller drop to 914 points, less than 40, and here's where we have Halloween 4. So it in 2018 just swapped places. And again, this is where it was the first time, so the broader range of votes matches where it was back when only 20 people voted. Now, this had no dead last votes, but 2 people put it in 12th place. And spoiler, this is the only film on the entire ranking that no one in either roster put in dead last. Also, it was put into first place 11 times out of 183 people, so that's 6% of the lists. Here's our top 3, and our number 3 film here was Halloween 2 before, and back in the old list it was Halloween 3, so which is it now? Well, with 831 points, it looks like it's back to part 3. And on a broader scale, it hasn't gained as much love as it did with the patrons. Still, it was only put into dead last 1 time, so that's not many, and it was put into first place 17 times, so 9% of the lists. And since you know what's in first place, that can only mean that we've reverted back to the old list for number 2, and it got 711 points here, and now it's Halloween 2. Again, it was ranked in dead last 1 time, but was also put up into first place 8 times for 4%, and that's less than half the number 1s that part 3 got, but just had better overall scores. And of course, number 1 with a bullet, because it only got 274 points, more than 400 points down from part 2, and it was an easy win for Halloween 1978. Still, someone did put it into dead last, and I'm pretty sure it was that person trolling that I mentioned earlier, but it was also put into dead last 138 times out of 183, which is 75% of the lists, and that's an increase over the patron percentage, even if it's a smaller share than the original vote. So there you have it, 13 Halloween movies, all ranked up, again, given to you 2 ways. So let's take a look at these lists here, and it's interesting how similar that they were with just a couple of swapped entries. And it's funny that the list with more votes is closer to the list that we had back when it was a very limited number of voters. Normally, this is where I would ask where you would have ranked these and how you would have put things, but you actually had the chance to vote on this one. But if you're watching this later and missed the voting, you can still let me know in the comments which is your favorite. And if you did vote and enjoyed it, just know that you can participate every single month for like $1 a month by going to patreon.com/movietimelines. We have a new list of movies every single month, and it's very fun. It's a cool little community thing to do, and we really enjoy it. Also, if you liked this video, if you liked voting in it, hit that like button to let me know that. If you enjoy the channel, make sure to subscribe to it and hit the bell to get notified about new videos going up. And also, again, check out that Patreon page and help support this channel. And yeah, there we go. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you all have a happy Halloween.